Danger Dolan.
From stealing Einstein's most precious possession to marriage that goes beyond death, we count 15 of the most bizarre ways people have used a corpse. This will contain images of dead people, or at least parts of them, as well as some pretty gruesome tales, so if you don't want to see or hear that kind of thing, you've definitely clicked on the wrong video. Number 15. Albert Einstein is easily the most famous scientist in modern history. During his time, he was also highly esteemed for his amazing breakthroughs in science, but he knew this would cause a problem. He knew that if he didn't specify otherwise, people would study his brain when he died, so he left specific instructions for it to be burnt when he died. The person in charge of his cremation ignored this remark, lied about it, then said he wanted this to happen and studied the crap out of his brain. But as Einstein predicted, the physicality of his brain wasn't even that special, relatively speaking, of course. That's punny. Number 14. Shrunken Heads. Headhunting has been a pretty common practice for a while now, not only in tribal colonies but also with the Vikings. But only the Jivaroan tribes from the Amazon actually partake in the act of shrinking their victims' heads. The shrinking is done by removing the skull, putting seeds in the eyes, and sewing and pinning the eyes and ears. Then they boil it in tannin-rich water, dry it out with hot rocks and sand, then rub it with charcoal ash. The reason they put charcoal on it is to prevent the soul of their victim from escaping. Kinda like Pokemon for human souls, which regardless of your beliefs is a pretty fucked up thing to want to do. But I guess you gotta do something to stop angry ghosts from flying around, rattling the dishes and shit. Number 13. Launched into space. Now, I don't know about you, but getting my corpse launched into space sounds pretty badass. I don't even think that's weird, but I'm a big fucking weirdo, so I digress. The strange thing NASA did with corpses, or cadavers if you're fancy, is to use them to figuratively crash test their in-development rocket designed to explore space. The former owners of said corpses donated their bodies to science, so it's all legal and stuff. No Jeffrey Dahmer stuff going on here. Unless astronaut ice cream's made out of people, but that's besides the point. They also used some mannequins alongside the corpses, cause why not? And the test flight ended successfully after orbiting the Earth twice. Man, that would have been a good opportunity to just scare the shit out of the press, invite them over to interview the astronauts, and have a bunch of corpses and mannequins tumble out of the rocket. We told you we needed more funding, look what happened! Number 12. Eat a brick. The plague was a pretty big deal in the Middle Ages, as was the fear of the unknown, and scientific knowledge wasn't exactly great, so people tended to be pretty superstitious, to put it extremely lightly. Long story short, some Italian researchers found what they believed the ancient Venetians believed to be a vampire amongst the huge amount of plague victims. When you think of making a vampire stay dead, you think of a stake through the heart, but this predates modern vampirism, so instead they believed that you needed to remove the shroud, aka bacteria that caused the mouth bleeding beyond death, and shove a brick in its mouth to stop it from rising again. Number 11. Cups and tools. Not everyone makes a big deal about death, especially not some of those with a strong belief that there's something beyond the grave. This is especially true of the Teotihuacanos of ancient Mexico who just buried their families under and around their house. But that's not all. They also used any adult bones that could be useful in making tools and utensils. That's right, they used their dead loved ones for spatulas, and that's not a random utensil I just picked out of my drawer. It's one of the types of utensils found in Teotihuacan. Then there's also the infamous skull cups, which is a pretty common thing to do in warlike cultures like the Vikings. Even the infamous Blackbeard was apparently turned into a bone and silver goblet, if you believe the tales. But hey, if you don't buy that, you can probably find some real skull cups at your local museum. Number 10. Paranormal Mishap. There is yet to be any solid proof of an alien. There's been plenty of different attempts at proving or justifying their existence through science, and many more attempts of looking for them among us as part of a conspiracy or just wishful thinking. Well, one group had claimed they'd found proof of your classic gray alien that everyone had been looking for. They made a big ruckus about it and charged people in minutes to see it in person or to see it online. But before the reveal took place, Tony Bergili, as a big part of the event, issued an apology saying it turns out it was a mummified corpse of a Native American child who died a long time ago, claiming he was duped and that he felt bad about the whole thing. Number 9. False mummy. A mummy of a Persian princess turned up in Pakistan during a police raid in the year 2000. This sparked up a huge amount of publicity and the archaeological community got excited for the first ever Persian mummy. The finders told everyone she was over 2,600 years old, her body was dressed in gold, there was an inscription saying her and her father's names, and she was prepared in the same way as the Egyptians. Eventually, some inconsistencies turned up, like grammatical errors and irregularities in how she was mummified. Ultimately, they found out she was a girl that had died in the recent past, and from the looks of it, her death wasn't natural as she had a broken neck. Number 8. Exhibition. Taxidermy is when you take the skin of an animal and stretch it over a cast in order to make it look alive. Of course, you add some glass eyes and pretty it up a bit, but the general idea is that it looks like the animal. Well, this doesn't quite work so well with humans. Don't ask me how I know that, but there's another technique called plastination made by Gunther von Hagens, where the liquids in the body are carefully replaced with plastics. This doesn't work with the skin on, but it does wonders for showing off the anatomy of the corpse. Well, if you're into that, there's an entire exhibit called Body Worlds that displays 25 different plastinated corpses in educational ways, sometimes showing off the effects of diseases, other times showing off the process of aging. This, of course, has caused absolutely no controversy whatsoever with anyone, anywhere, anytime. Everyone loves human corpses. Number 7. How he died. The Shroud of Turin is a sacred Christian artifact that the church believes to be the burial shroud of Jesus, and it's been the subject of a lot of debate regarding its authenticity and, in one case, how Jesus spent his final hours. Frederick Thomas Zugaby. There's no way I pronounced that last name right. If I did, that's hilarious. Anyhow, Mr. Zugaby used the shroud to study how Jesus died, but he didn't only use the shroud, he also got volunteers in and strapped them to a cross. Of course, with a last name like Zugaby, you know he didn't stop there. He also used corpses and did a more authentic replication of Jesus' crucifixion. Now I'm kinda worried about making fun of the guy's name. I don't want to get nailed to a cross. Use my corpse for something else, like a spatula. That's fine. Number 6. One last snap. When photography was made cheaper than portraiture in the Victorian era, a lot of the lower classes ended up getting their chance to get their likenesses preserved beyond their own mortality. But some people took this idea to the next extreme, deciding to take pictures of the recently departed all dressed up and seated carefully, all nice and pretty. Sometimes there are attempts to make them look lifelike. This was more common with children, as infant mortality was still incredibly high, with no small thanks to the fact that most Victorians believed that smell and not germs is what spread disease. So as long as a corpse doesn't smell bad, feel free to play with it all day long, and make sure to take your baby and rub it all over your dead grandma. It's fine, it smells alright. Number 5. Mummy medicine. Speaking of the crappy medicine of yesteryear, mummies had a really hard time with it all. The frankly arcane aspects of medicine had many of them suffering well beyond what they should have to endure. For some reason, people thought it was a good idea to grind up Egyptian mummies and turn them into a medicine. The reason for this is that they thought the bodies turning black was caused by a large amount of asphaltum. Obviously, the blackening was caused by the process of decay, and besides all that, asphaltum has no medicinal property, so they were just snorting mummies for nothing. Number 4. Sold into marriage. While arranged marriages were much more popular in the old days, they're still practiced today throughout the world, although not so much in Western countries. The classic line in the vows is "till death does us part," but this isn't so with all weddings. There are cases when it's practiced with one or more of the participants being dead. That's right, some people are currently married to a corpse. Well, I mean, not like widowers, but married to a corpse, like in a church married to the corpse. I wonder how you get a corpse to sign divorce papers. Anyways, this is mostly done in China, but it's been found worldwide, including in countries like France. It's not done for shits and giggles or, dare I say, unholy love. It's actually done with the same reasoning behind arranged marriages, to wed two different families and to exchange dowries and land. Number 3. Frankenstein. You probably groaned inwardly when you heard me say that name, just waiting with dread for me to get it wrong. Well, I read books. I know Frankenstein was actually the beloved puppy of the scientist, not the scientist himself. Anyways, on to a more serious topic. George Forster was found guilty of killing his wife and child. Although later examination of the trial deems it unfair, he was sentenced to death by hanging. After his death, his body was given to the scientist Giovanni Aldini for experimentation. Aldini was interested in something called galvanization, which he applied onto Forster. Galvanization is just another term for zap the shit out of that body, which he did as he did to others. His corpse is described as having a quivering jaw, contorting muscles, a clenched fist, and an open eye. Number 2. Snow White. This picture turned up on the internet a while ago, where a teen mother's holding her presumed miscarried underdeveloped daughter's long-gone corpse and posting it on Facebook in a Snow White costume. It's hard to tell if she's in massive denial or just really not taking it well, but either way, it's one of the most bizarre things I've ever come across. Obviously, it's also incredibly depressing. Nothing in that picture speaks of someone who's of her right mind, but hopefully she's feeling better about the whole thing now, or at the very least is getting the help she needs. Number 1. Corpse pants. Now to lighten the mood back up, what do you say to some fancy leather pants? What kind of leather, you ask? Well, only the best kind, as the previous skin owner has to get permission for his skin to be used. This is an Icelandic tradition where you flay the skin of the permissive dead and put on his, yes it has to be a guy's skin, and place a coin from a stolen widow in his balls along with this magical sign. When you're done, you've got a magical scrotum that'll always have money in it, but in order to take the pants off, you need to convince someone else to overtake the pants and step into each leg as the other person climbs out. If you do it right, you'll keep the money gathering nature going on for generations. If you can find something more bizarre than magic corpse pants with money giving scrotums, I'll be amazed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Galvanization is just another term for zap the shit out of that body, which he did as he did